take you to the broadcast of It's Time with Reverend Nathaniel W. Martin. Here is Reverend Martin.
All right, thank you, Dr. Blackwell. My name is the Reverend Nathaniel W. Martin. Let me say Hotep Baragani to my Africana Studies contemporaries and colleagues. And let me say good morning, good afternoon, good evening. But of course, never good night and never ever goodbye, because I've always found goodbyes traumatizing. I said, I have always found goodbyes traumatizing. Again, my name is the Reverend Nathaniel Wayne Martin. I'm the pastor of the New Life Institutional Baptist Church here in the city of Los Angeles, and we are worshiping at 8916 South Main Street and being hosted by our sister church, the Shiloh Missionary Christian Church, of which the Reverend Dr. Della F. Hollinas is the pastor. And you know what they say, when the Baptists and the Charismatics get together, there's always going to be a shouting in the camp. And truly, God has blessed our fellowship and our worship experience, and we look forward to God continuing to bless us in the future. And whenever you're in the neighborhood, feel free to stop by, come in, worship, and be blessed, all right? You're going to be blessed because you came. You're going to be blessed while you're there, and you're going to be blessed when you leave, all right? Now, our service is Friday night, which is tonight at 7 p.m., and then on Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. is our Sunday school, followed by our morning worship beginning around 11:15. And you're really welcome to come to any or all of our services. We've, of course, gone back now to 3:30 services as well, but those are not every Sunday, but they are quite frequent. All right, the offering that you are listening to or looking at is entitled It's Time, and it is a social justice themed offering presentation. Social justice, because we cannot serve God in a bubble, and we cannot love God in a vacuum. We're going to have to be out here with the saints and the sinners. That means I'm going to have to be out here with you, and you're going to have to be out here with me, and we're going to have to serve God as the best that we can. And through serving God, I mean through serving one another, trying to make of this terrible situation that we find ourselves in environmentally and economically, in the highest sphere of things. We're going to have to try to improve one another's lot. I can't live my life unless I'm good to you, and you can't live your life unless you are good to me. So that makes us compatriots, makes us brothers and sisters, and we must help and serve one another. But how can we say that we love God, which is what an old scripture says, whom we have not seen, and hate our brothers and our sisters whom we see every day. All right? And so that's the basic thrust of this presentation. We come at it from the environmental aspect and from the economic aspect. Environmental, because you cannot separate yourself from the environment. Whether you like the environment, whether you are aware of the environment or conscious of the environment, you are impacted by the environment, all right? It may be 1,000 miles away, but it's in your environment. Who would have thought that the war in Ukraine would have such impact on my life, a little poor black man here in Inglewood? But yet, the war in Ukraine has caused my prices, and the prices that I pay for my food in the store, to rise. It has caused the prices that I pay for fuel to be increased. Yes, you are impacted by your environment, whether it's distant or whether it's proximate. And so we have to realize that, recognize that, and respond in kind to do what we can. Whether we go up to the United Nations and tell them to stop this war, or whether we write letters to President Biden telling him to stop wasting our money over there in Ukraine. Make those people go to the bargaining table, to the peace table, and come to some type of denouement or some type of truce or peace treaty where they stop bothering each other. And we come to find out that the United States hands are not clean in this Ukraine war, that like we have done in Hawaii and Nicaragua and Panama and you name it, even in the Congo, yes, we have had our footprint and our hands behind the scenes trying to put up one and pull down another, as though we were God, as though we were in God's stead. But of course, we are not God, and we are not in God's stead, and we cannot do God's will in place of God. We have to be led by the Spirit of God. And so the world is in a mess. It's in a bad shape. Our foreign policy is in the toilet, has been in the toilet for years. When we left Afghanistan, we left the door open for China to come in, and now China has brokered a deal between Saudi Arabia and Iran, so that there is a rapprochement between those two countries, and they're getting back together. They're going to resume diplomatic relations, and they're going to exchange ambassadors again. And the only people that don't like it are the United States of America, which thrives on disunion and divide and conquer. And we come to find out that the nation of Israel is alike upset by this rapprochement, which brings peace between Iran and Saudi Arabia. And with the goings on in Israel at the present hour, sociologically, their citizens are out in the streets. They're in an uproar because Nathaniel W, who has been re-elected as the president of Israel, is trying to undermine the justice system, because he was brought up on corruption charges, and so he's taking a page out of Donald Trump's book, and he's going gangbusters to undermine the judicial system there in Israel. And of course, you know that Israel is a, how should we say it, only Jews can live there. I can't be a Jew, so I can't live there. And most other people in the world are not Jews, and they cannot live there. And so they seem to have developed an apartheid state. And I've given up on Israel and the Palestinians having a two-party system, because the settler colonialists in Israel, soldier settlers, are continuing to deprive the Palestinians of what land they do have remaining. And of course, the Israelites have now set themselves on the West Bank, that they're going to appropriate or take over the West Bank. That means they're going to drive the remaining Palestinians out. And so there will be no two-state solution in Israel. They may as well stop that canard. That dog won't hunt. And only God is going to be able to settle that condition, because the evil in the hearts of men, primarily in Israel, is too great. It's a real estate market, and it's a real estate game. And the more land that the Israelis can appropriate to themselves before they have to make peace with the Palestinians, well, I'm sure they're going to do that. Just like the Ukrainians are trying to claim as much land as they can before they go to the peace table with the Russians, and likewise the Russians are trying to claim as much land as they can before they go to the peace table for talks with the Ukrainians. We know that it is an unwinnable war, and with all of the billions that the United States is pouring in there, the only people that you can see who are profiting from this are, of course, the munitions manufacturers who foment war and sell arms to both sides. And today is no different. Reminds me of what Dr. Martin Luther King said at one time about our country. He said the greatest purveyor of violence is the United States of America. An apt description. We didn't realize it, but our nation sells 40% of the arms that other nations use to kill each other. They are purchased here. And that comes all the way down to the street level, where our people are poisoned by drugs that we did not produce initially. And guns mysteriously show up over here that nobody over here manufactured, but yet we got those guns to kill each other with. And so as you look at the world situation, you can see that it is in a terrible condition. Now, I forgot to say also that I believe that in reparations, and I'm a firm believer that this nation will not be all that it can be until it has atoned or admitted and acknowledged its past wrong, as George Bush tried to do back there when he went to Senegal. But we as a nation have not acknowledged the debt that we owe to the formerly enslaved, or those whom we did enslave. And that reparations is what is needed, because you can't leave that ledger open, because every year cries out for redress. Every year the ledger, the account grows larger and larger, the penalty and interest for working people for 250 years, don't give them without pay and without salary, is atrocious. And of course here on the United States of America, from the 13 colonies on up to now, we have reneged on that debt, but the account has to be settled. Okay? All right. Now, let me read my reparation scripture before I get too far gone in my treatise. In Deuteronomy chapter 15, picking up the reading at verse number 12, it says these words: "And if thy brother, an Hebrew man or an Hebrew woman, be sold unto thee and serve thee 6 years, then in the 7th year thou shalt let them go out free from thee. And when thou sendest them out free from thee, thou shalt not let them go away empty. Thou shalt furnish them liberally out of thy flock, and out of thy floor, and out of thy winepress. Of that wherewith the Lord thy God hath blessed thee, thou shalt give unto them." The word of God for the people of God. And remember, Jesus said, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you." And I wouldn't want you to work me like a dog and then don't pay me, because we ain't going to get along. Yeah. Amen. And so if God takes concern that a disfranchised person or a person who has fallen down on their luck is not supposed to be left down there. You're supposed to get some effort to get them up. They're supposed to put forth some effort to get themselves up. And God says, you it. The larger society is to help its less fortunate. And hats off to Karen Bass, Mayor Karen Bass here in the city of Los Angeles, for the heroic effort that she's making toward remedying or helping alleviate or at least to ameliorate the homeless crisis here in the city of Los Angeles. And we thank God that she saw that it was an emergency and that she so addressed it. And so far, her colleagues and the people in the California state government and California county and city governments are working along with her to try to make this emergency more manageable. And so we thank God that He has moved her in that direction. All right? All right. Now, yes, the homeless situation is critical. And that homeless situation ties in to the economic situation, because that homelessness situation is a man-made. It's not a God-caused. It is a man-made situation. It is a man-made disaster, a man-made catastrophe. Just like slavery, yes, slavery was not God divinely mandated. No, it was greed that brought about slavery, because people who wanted to have more, and they wanted to subjugate and dominate everybody else, and so consequently they found the means and the might and the power to impose their wills upon most of the world. But it is a man-made disaster. Jesus wisely said, the poor you have with you always, but not because God wanted the poor, but because man's heart is so wicked and full of avarice and larceny and every evil thing, as the Bible describes it, that we will destroy ourselves. Why, we trying to go up there to the moon? We ain't going to do no more better on the moon. The we being the people in power, not me, because I'm just a peon. But our country, our NASA, Elon Musk and all that crowd is doing their best to go into outer space. I don't know what they think they're going to do there that they haven't done here. They're not going to live no better there than they lived here. If they corrupted this earth and polluted this earth, they're going to pollute Mars. They're going to pollute the moon. They're going to pollute all the planets that they can reach. And yes, with the exhaust of their rockets and the exhaust of their satellites, they're going to just create the same pollution in outer space that they have created down here in inner space on Earth. It'll be no different. And what gives us the right to impose our will on other galaxies, on other on other galaxies and other interstellar areas? You get my point. When we don't live at peace with each other down here, how you gonna live at peace with the other people or the other so-called extraterrestrials in these other galaxies? It is an absurdity. You got to live right down here, and I think we need to kind of deal with that. We practice colonialism and slavery here. We would just practice colonialism and slavery up there. And the other component that I mentioned but didn't dwell on is the economic component. But of course, the economic component, though not mention is always on the table. Homelessness, as we said, is a man-made disaster. How was it man-made? Because we believe in capitalism. In capitalism, somebody's got to win and somebody's got to lose. Capitalism is a system of inequalities. The inequities are legion rather, and they continue to manifest and multiply. We have a situation, a circumstance where the richest 1% own more wealth than the other corresponding 99%. And how can that condition continue to obtain? While there's going to be what? Riots in the street. There's going to be revolution. If I can see it over here in Inglewood with my little mind, well, I know the powers that be are much aware, even in their hubris and their arrogance, that this situation that they have created cannot continue. I guess that's why they're trying to build so many prisons, because after a while there won't be enough prisons to put the people in. And notice, if you please, that those who thrived and profited from the prison boom, which began back in the 90s, under no less a personality than Joe Biden and Richard Nixon, and took off under Ronald Reagan, that the people who were employees were the predominantly white people, and the corrections officers union is rumored to be the strongest union in the country. And whenever prisons go up, the people in the prisons are people that look like me, and the people running the prison, administrating the prison, wardens of the prison, and corrections officers in the prison don't look like me. And so you can see the inequality even there in that system. That's why there's an irregularity and a decided disparity between the sentence that you get, or you're penalized for a possession of a ounce of marijuana powder, and the sentence that you are correspondingly given for possession of less than an ounce of crack cocaine. Powdered cocaine is the preferred drug of the white folks, and crack cocaine, which is the same thing as powdered cocaine, only it has been reduced to a little pill or a little wafer, is the preferred drug of choice of black Americans. And so the prisons are full of black Americans being presided over by white Americans. And yet they tell me that is not caused by intent, or it just happens that way. And if you believe that, I got a bridge in Brooklyn that I want to sell you. Now, going back to the economic component, last week we had a Silicon Valley Bank was taken over by the FDIC, and come to find out that they have branches way over in London. Silicon Valley Bank. That's how fast this contagion had spread. In other words, Silicon Valley Bank, which was I think they had over $209 billion, even had a bank branch overseas in Europe. And so when they failed here, they failed there. That was why the contagion had to be contained, because word gets around over the weekend via Twitter or TikTok or Facebook or YouTube videos about what is going on in the banking community. And remember that we said that in capitalism, it is a system of inequality, inequity, which means somebody is winning and somebody is losing, and the inequality has persisted for so long that the same people keep winning, and that means the same people keep losing. Okay, 5 more minutes. All right, so the last time, 2008, 2009, when they had the bank failures, they said they were too big to fail. All right, now, Lehman Brothers went under. Bear Stearns went under. The insurance company that insured not only the companies and industries and corporations in this country, but also insured so many other companies out of this country in other countries, was saved by the U.S. government, because it couldn't let the insurance fail, because that would have brought down the whole house of cards. And believe you me, this insurance racket is a racket, but it has to be controlled, and it has to be sustained, and it has to be supported. And we have gone off of the gold standard, we've gone off of the silver standard, and what you have in your pocket or in your bank account, and what I have in my pocket in my bank account, is what you call fiat money. That means a fiat means somebody said that it is so. By my authority, it is so. So let it be. So the declaration is that $5 bill is worth $5 because somebody somewhere said it. And when they declare or decide that a $5 bill is no longer worth $5, then that depletes the value of that $5 bill that I got in my pocket, which means that if I go to the store to buy something for $5 today or tomorrow, that somebody has said that $5 bill is no longer worth $5, it is now worth less than $5, that means I got to get 2 $5 bills to buy the same product tomorrow that I brought yesterday for $5. All right, and so it goes. I think the dollar is now only worth about 48 cents. It may be worth less than that. I haven't checked, but it is declining in value. That is what they call inflation. That's why you have to have so many dollars to go to the same store to buy the same product at a higher price, at a different price, and an ever escalating price from what you had when you bought that product, say 10 years ago. I remember when C&H pure cane sugar was, you could buy 5 pounds for 25 cents. Try to buy some now for that 25 cents. See how much sugar you get. And that is the way that the inflation works. The money is devalued because so much more money is printed, and with the Federal Reserve printing more money, Joe Biden printing more money, then that means that the inflation is definitely going to go up or to increase, because the value of a dollar is not a dollar. A dollar is not a dollar anymore, even though it says a dollar on there. But its true value is set by the merchants, and so they say, well, if you're going to buy $1 worth of bubble gum, you're going to need $2 to buy that same bubble gum that you had bought 10 years ago. All right, and just in passing, the banks were too big to fail when they were in the billions. Now they're too big to fail when they're in the trillions. Now remember, a trillion, according to this, a trillion is 1 million million. That's what it takes. It takes a million to make 1 trillion. And that type of finances is way above my pay grade. But that's what the world, the banking system consists of today. If they were too big to fail when they were in 2008 and 2009 when they were in the billions, what do you think they're going to be now? Too big to fail when they're in the trillions. Why the government can't print money fast enough. The government can't stop this hemorrhage. It's going to continue. And they know it if I know it. But this contagion is going to continue. And LAUSD called off their strike. Some of them are living below the poverty level, about $25,000. And some teachers are living above the poverty level, thank God. We got to pay our teachers, we need to pay our staff and everybody so that they can survive in this capitalistic system, because it's not going to change. All right. And as I wrap up, if you're working on a job, they don't want to pay you, take a page out of the slave diaries, because if hard work would have paid off like they said it would, then every slave and every housewife would have been worth at least $1 million or so. All right? God bless you. So if they don't want to pay you, take my advice and don't work for them. Thank you, Doc. We out of here. Love you. God keep you.